All right, we are ready for Chapter 11, Lesson 1. If you'd be so kind as to turn in your Go Math Book, Volume 2, to page 625. And there at the top, you can see what our goal is. I can use dot paper and grid paper to find the perimeter of figures by counting the number of units on each side. And what they're having us do here, if we were here at school or doing this, we had enough to pass out, is a thing called a geo board, and a geo board with rubber bands. But in the wonderful world of technology, we have some of these that are interactive. Very quickly, I want to take a look at the word perimeter. Perimeter is the distance around a figure. So if we were to break this up, the word peri, that means around. So if you think like a periscope, all right, a periscope can see all around, all right, and then meter is distance. So when we are measuring the perimeter of something, we are measuring the distance around. All right. So we'll just keep this up here for a reminder. You can find the perimeter of a rectangle on a geo board or dot paper by counting the number of units on each side. Make a rectangle on the geo board that is 3 units on two sides and 2 units on the other. And so a unit would be from one to the other. So let's go ahead and make that rectangle. And we'll just go ahead and use lines for this. We need one that is 3 units. So we'll go 1, 2, and 3. And then 2 units on the other. So 1 and 2. And then here's our 1, 2, 3. And our 1 and 2. So there we go. We've drawn the rectangle. And now write the lengths next to each side. So right here, this is 2 units. All right, and then 3 units right there. 2 units. And 3 units. So now we need to add the number of units for each side. So we had a 2 and a 3 and a 2 and 3. All right, we're going to add those up. 2 plus 3, that's 5. And 2 plus 3, that's also 5. So we add those up. 5 plus 5, that's going to give us 10. All right, so the perimeter of the rectangle is 10 units. Now, down here it says, what would the perimeter of the rectangle, or how would the perimeter of the rectangle change if the length of 2 of the sides was 4 units instead of 3 units? All right, so we're going to change this where it's 4 units instead of 3 units. And for that, we're going to switch over to a tool for you guys to use. And I will have a link for this. And this is an interactive geoboard. And I'm going to go ahead and expand this out right here. So what they wanted to know, instead of 3 units, it was 4. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a rubber band here. All right, and make this 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I had my 2 unit right here. So we'll go up 1 and 2. And then hang my 4 unit right there. And hang my 2 unit right there. So what I have right here is a 2 and a 2 and a 4 and a 4. So that's just going to be a simple addition problem. 2 plus 4 plus 2 plus 4. All right, 2 plus 4 here is 6, and 2 plus 4 here is also 6. All right, so that's going to give us 12. All right, so heading back then to right here, how would the perimeter of the rectangle change if the length of the sides was 4 units instead of 3 units? And we're going to say increasing 2 sides by 1 unit will increase the perimeter by 2 units. All right, so we had 10 as our original one. Let's see, we'll get right here. So we had 10 originally right here, all right, for this geoboard. But then when we increased it by 1 length here, all right, this length right here that we increased, that is 1. And this right here we increased, that's 1. So the 1 and the 1, okay, which is then 2, is going to get added to the original perimeter, and it's just going to increase by 2. So let's move right along and take a look at the next page. All right, so we're going to get a chance here to work with some of these concepts. For the first one here, describe how you would find the perimeter of a rectangle that is 5 units wide, 6 units long. So we'll head back over here to our geoboard, and we're going to go 5 units wide. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 6 units long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, and because it's a rectangle, we'll just add those other 2 sides. So that's what it looks like. Now, how are we going to find the perimeter? Well, a couple of key words. First of all, it is a rectangle, so we know that the opposite sides are going to be equal. Okay, so the red right there is equal, and the purple going this way, those are equal sides. So 5 and 6, 5 and 6. So what we could end up doing is drawing it out and then adding them up. But really, if you think about this, we were only given two sides, okay, one of a rectangle, 6 and 5. Okay, so how can we find this is add 6 plus 5. Right, so when we add 6 plus 5, we get 11. And that will take care of this side here and this side right here. Okay, so we have those taken care of. But now we need to find out these sides right here. All right, we need to add those in. And we already know that it's 6 and 5. And we already know that when we add 6 and 5, we're going to get 11. So what we can do is add the two sides and then double it. Okay, so we take the two sides, all right, and double it. So we could either say 11 times 2 to get 22, or we could say 11 plus 11 to get 22. So the answer that I would put right here, and this is what they're wanting us to get to, is that we're going to add the two known sides. All right, and that is going to be 5 plus 6. Then double the result to find the perimeter. All right, and keyword here on known, on the known sides. We know 5 and 6. All right, so 5 and 6, that's 11. Double it, and we're going to get 22. Okay, now let's take a look at number 2. A rectangle has two pairs of sides of equal length. Explain how you can find the unknown length of two sides when the length of one side is 4 units and the perimeter is 14 units. So we're going to move over and use a new tool that I got the other day, and so we're going to see how well we like this. So what we know for a fact is that we have a rectangle. And so the rectangle, you know, it doesn't necessarily need to be to scale, all right, but we'll just have something here that's going to help us out. All right, we know that the perimeter is equal to 14 units. All right, and we know that one of the sides is 4 units. Okay, now what that means is that this 4 units right here is going to be the same over here. This is also going to be 4 units. All right, so of our 14 units, okay, we're going to subtract the 4 right here and subtract the 4 right here. So 14 minus 4 is 10, minus 4 is 6 units. All right, this is not our answer. Okay, because what we're saying is that this length right here and this one right here, when added together, give us 6 units. So what two numbers that are the same added together give us 6? And of course that would be 3. Okay, so if we come back to the original problem here, we'll go ahead and get this erased, and we'll go ahead and draw this rectangle here. Again, not to scale, but we know that the perimeter is equal to 14. One of the sides is equal to 4, which means the other side is going to be equal to 4. And then we calculated that these were going to be 3. So what do we have right here? 4 plus 3, that is 7. 3 plus 4, that is equal to 7. Add up our 7 and 7, and we get 14 for the perimeter. Okay, so how do we find that? What is the best way to go about doing that? If we know that the perimeter is 14 units, all right, and we know that side 1 is going to be equal to 4 units, and side 2 is equal to, we don't know, units. All right. The best way to keep this in mind is that we have 4 sides. All right, and all those together will equal 14. And we know that we have 4 and 4 because that's one of the sides right there. So that's going to be 8. So 8 plus these 2 units that we don't know are going to be equal to 14. Subtract the 14 and 8 to get the 6. All right, so now we are looking for 2 numbers that are the same, added up, give us 6. And that is 3. So when we do that right there, we get 8 plus 6 to give us 14. So the answer for number 2 will end up being, since one side of the rectangle is 4, the other side will be 4. So 4 plus 4 is 8. Subtract the perimeter from what we know so far. So we know the perimeter is 14, and so far we have 8. That leaves us 6 left over. That means the other 2 sides combined equals 6. So what 2 numbers that are the same add up to give us 6, and that's going to be 3. All right, 3 plus 3 is 6. So we are looking at a rectangle that is, and it would probably be more like this, where we had 4 and 4 and 3 and 3. All right, next one. Jill says that finding the perimeter of a figure with all 4 sides of equal length is easier than finding the perimeter of all other figures. Do you agree? Explain. Well, the answer to that lies in how well you know your multiplication facts. So let's take a quick look at how that would look. And let's come back here to this new device with some different settings in here. So let's go with one figure, equal sides. Let's go with the one that we know. We know a square. And if the square has lengths of, I don't know, let's say 5. All right, well, if that's going to be 5, that's going to be 5, that's going to be 5, and that's going to be 5. Then what we have is a simple multiplication problem. All right, what is the length of each side? That's 5. How many sides are there? There are 4. So the perimeter is going to be 20 units. Now, does that work just for squares? No. Let's try to, and this will be interesting. Let's try to do a equilateral triangle. And let's say that each side of this equilateral triangle is 7. So the length of each side is 7 units, multiplied by 3 sides is going to give us 21 units for the perimeter. Well, let's see if we can't do this. And I am not going to promise that this is going to look equal, but let's try a hexagon. All right, let's say we have a hexagon right here, and that all 6 sides are 8. Okay, so 8 is what that side is equal to, and this mark right here means that they all have the same length. Okay, so what do we have? Well, we have 8 units times how many sides? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides, which would give us 48 units for the perimeter. All right. Well, let's try one other one. What if I were to tell you, and I'm not even going to draw the figure up here, let's say that we had a heptagon. A heptagon. And that each side is equal to 11 units. Well, if you know your Greek and Latin words, you know that hepta means 7. So we are looking at a 7-sided object. So we take the 7 sides, multiply it by, each side has a unit or a measurement of 11 units, and that's going to give us a perimeter of 77 units. So I believe if we come back to right here, Jill says that finding the perimeter is easier. I got to tell you, it really depends on if you know your multiplication facts or not. But I'll let you write your answer for that.